Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat and this is Catadactyl. So today I'm going to be doing some queer Japanese literature recommendations. So today is not for manga and anime, that will be a different video. So today is just in the novel or short story form. 5 books, 3 authors, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So the first author is the only one that I know for sure is Own Voices, and it is Yukio Mishima. Privately, he did a lot of carousing and partying and living it up in the gay sectors of Japan and also abroad. He was thought of as very much a dandy, and I happen to really find Yukio Mishima a fascinating person. So I will be doing a full dedicated video to him later on in the month. But let's go ahead and get into the books which he wrote. So the first one that I would like to recommend is Forbidden Colors by Yukio Mishima. We follow a very bitter older gentleman who is an aging writer, and he has decided to get back at his loveless, faithless wife by some means to really hurt her. And he finds Yuichi, who is the perfect weapon, because Yuichi is kind of the paragon of male sexuality and women just flock to him. And he decides to introduce Yuichi to the gay quarter and the gay life in Japan. And it is the story of the writer's battle with his own mortality and his wife, and seeing the younger man Yuichi, who he wished he was like. And the other side we see Yuichi, who is coming to grips with his own burgeoning sexuality and kind of being caught up in the party of the bubble era in Japan, and also exploring the gay quarters in Japan such as Nichome and the parks, etc. So in this one I really loved it. I highly recommend it. I found the ending very moving, and overall I think Mishima is a very talented writer, so I really do highly recommend this book. And the second book by Mishima that I would like to talk about is Confessions of a Mask. So in this one we follow an adolescent. So he's coming to terms with being gay in post-war Japan. And I found this portraiture of a young man's life extremely moving and engrossing. Not only is the post-war aspect really great, but so is the writing about the adolescent young man and kind of the pressures from his peers in Japanese society, and also the new influence of the West. So if you are a Mishima fan, I highly recommend these two. And if you are not a Mishima fan, but you are interested in what I just said, or you'd like to get into Japanese literature, I really do recommend these 2 books. I think they are just fantastic. Next up, let's talk about Banana Yoshimoto. So we have 2 books from her as well. Banana Yoshimoto is a writer that is famous for shorter works or short stories, and her writing style is very kind of amorphous, sylph-like, like very light, but a little bit of mystery, a little bit of eerie. She deals a lot with the disillusionment and the unsatisfactory life of the youth in Japan. So the first one that I would like to talk about is Kitchen, and in this one we follow a young female protagonist who is orphaned and raised by her grandmother, and when her grandmother dies she is grieving, and in her grief she goes to live with a very good friend of hers, and the rep in this book is actually the mother of the friend who used to be the father. It is done extremely well. So the story is not about the sexuality or the representation of that character. That character is fully fleshed out. So this book is a really good look at grief and modern Japan, and also the ways that sometimes you can form families beyond just blood ties. So if you haven't read it, I do recommend it. Overall, Banana Yoshimoto isn't my favorite cup of tea, but she is definitely a cup of tea that I like, if that makes sense. So the other one I would like to talk about is her short story, Hardboiled. So actually Hardboiled is in a dual story binding, so it's known as Hardboiled and Hard Luck. And in Hardboiled we follow a woman who is going to visit a shrine that is near the house of her dead lover. We're really talking about the loss of a lover, and also the ways that spirits can reach us from beyond death. Yoshimoto is really writing in a very ethereal way, and I actually love this one. This is one of my favorite writings Banana Yoshimoto has ever done. I think I've read almost all of Banana Yoshimoto, and usually there's just something about it that doesn't manage to reach me like inside, but Hardboiled is my favorite story of hers, so I really do recommend it. And definitely try picking up Banana Yoshimoto if you like a lighter fare or shorter stories, so I really recommend her. The last author I'd like to talk about today is Natsuo Kirino, who is actually a horror, feminist, thriller, crime, mystery writer, and she became famous from her novel Out, which is one of my favorite works of Japanese literature of all time. It is brilliant. It's probably my favorite crime novel of all time. But today we're not talking about that novel. Today we're talking about another of her novels called Real World. And in this one we follow 4 female protagonists. So we follow the girls as they are going to cram school, which is extra study school in summer in Japan. And all 4 girls are kind of a different character. So there's this smart one, there's the reliable one, there's the one who's grieving the loss of her mother and also trying to hide her sexuality from her friends, and then there's the one that gets in everyone's business. And it's that one that witnesses possibly the brutal murder of a neighbor by a person that the 4 girls call Worm. And as the police don't seem to be closing in on Worm, the girls decide to take matters into their own hands. Now, this was largely a forgettable novel for me, and I only realized that it had a lesbian character in it when I was talking to my husband about queer rep in Japan. I thought I would mention it, however, because if you are looking to get into feminist or feminist horror Japanese writing, this story might be a really good segue into ones like Out. So Real World is not terribly visceral, is not terribly graphic in nature, but Out is, and it is brilliant. So this one has queer rep, so I thought I would bring it to your attention. And if you happen to like Kirino Natsuo's writing style, then I really do recommend Out. So that goes ahead and wraps up this video. So if you guys like this video or would like to see more content like it, please do hit the like button or subscribe. Come chat to me in the comments. I am really interested in all things queer and all things Japanese literature or manga or anime. So yeah, if you like those things too, then please come on and be part of this channel. Without further ado, I'm just gonna say toodles for now. Toodles!